is Eric Yosten, and this is the Environmental Protection Commission special meeting, Wednesday, May 6th, 2020. We're doing this just as a little background.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, this is a go-to meeting because of the state requirements for social distancing, and I'm glad that everybody can avail themselves of the technology to do this from the comfort of wherever they are. A couple of ground rules by usually when we're in the meeting we may talk over each other, things like this. Go-to makes that a little more difficult, and so what I will do is establish an order of the meeting, which is the order I got off of the EPC website. And so what I will do is when I start asking for things, I'll go to Jim Millard first. I have you, Gunnar, second. There's Susan third, Michael, who's not here, and then Kelly and Bill. So that you know the order of comments and things like that. And so if I need a motion or something like that, Jim, I'm turning to you first. Okay, so that and then Gunnar or Susan second. Okay. The first order of business is old business, EPC 5 2020, Joe Pagliarulo, 49 Sunswick Road, proposing a 2-lot subdivision and related house construction, septic system construction, and filling and grading within an upland review area. The site is shown on Assessor's Map number 62 as lot number 25 and 28. And this is, we're going to continue the public hearing. Do we need a vote for that?
No.
Okay.
You should have the most current plans were in the last packet, along with Joe Canis's most recent review. So.
Okay,
June 3rd.
So we'll get that to June 3rd. Okay, starting new business. EPC 07-2020, Mike Iyer and Shima Amin, 11 Shady Acres Road, proposing new replacement house construction in an upland review area. The site is shown on Assessor's Map number 4 as lot number 8. Everybody has that in their package. Because it is a replacement house construction, it is typically EPC policy to go to a public hearing. What I would do, Rich, should we just take a motion now to go to public hearing?
Well, is Doug here?
I don't see Doug DeVesta.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, you are?
I'm here.
Okay,
Yep,
Doug, do you
I'm
want to
here.
just you wanted to do a little 5 minutes on that?
Sure. Fred, you want to give me the presenter, Fred?
Yeah, I'm going to set you up with that right now.
Okay. Okay, can everyone see the map?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we've got a 2.acre site in the R2 zone. This is the existing conditions map. We have an existing house in the easterly part of the property. A driveway comes along the northern property, serves the house. We've got wetlands. I'm going to go to my next screen. So this is the proposed site plan. So the wetlands were flagged by Theo in November of 2019. The wetlands, by cursor, you'll see my wetlands line through here, bisects it from the north to the south along here. And there's a little pocket of wetlands right in here. The proposal is to raise this existing house and construct a new house in the general same location. The existing house is on a septic system and well. Those will be abandoned. A new septic system will be installed. We found suitable soils in the western part of the site. Have to cross the wetlands with a force main from the septic system, septic tank out to the field itself. Also, we're proposing a sump pump with force main across the wetlands in the same trench to a detention area for the sump pump area. The red line you're seeing through here, what I'm highlighting, is the upland review area. So you'll see a good portion of the existing house as well as the proposed house is in the upland review area. The area behind that existing house is mostly lawn area. It was all lawn area. If you've been out to the site, you'll see that it was lawn area. Again, we're trying to keep that. We're keeping that the same area. Currently there's a catch basin on the northern part of the wetlands area here that picks up a swale and was piped down across the property to the south side of the property where it was discharged out. What we're proposing as part of our mitigation is to create a swale right along the edge of the toe of the slope and the wetlands and bring it down and discharge it to a level spreader and continue on out to the southern part of the property. Matt Pop, who's also on this meeting, he laid out a planting plan for this wetlands area. He can go a little more of that later on, and that provided a swale to get the water around the property itself. In terms of stormwater runoff, we're collecting runoff from the house and the driveway to a detention area on the south side to a level spreader where the water will sheet flow out, and on the north side will collect the remaining part of the driveway and the roof area again, going to a level spreader and out into the wetlands area. We show a zero increase in runoff from the site itself. That's basically the general overview of the property. Maybe Matt, you want to just talk a little bit about your site plan, which I can put up on the screen here a little bit. So this is Matt Pop's site plan here. Matt? Matt, you're muted.
Thanks, Doug. As Doug said, there's two wetlands on the site. The larger wetland bisects kind of near the middle of the site. Goes from north to south. That is mainly lawn area. The main part of that wetland features like a catch basin where Doug was pointing to now. Above that, above and north is it's a wooded wetland up there. But below that area, it's a wetland lawn area. The lawn area goes up to right up to the house, existing house. And then the second wetland is a small, isolated wooded wetland in the back and the rear of the site, the western portion of the site. Just briefly, we are proposing to restore approximately 200 feet of the water course, the original water course right through there, by removing the pipe, the catch basin, and just keeping an open channel. We do have native plantings there, consisting of 8 trees, 53 shrubs, and approximately 300 herbaceous plantings that will restore the wetland function. And that rear yard wetland right behind the house appears to have been excavated to probably create a level backyard from the house, and it's just a low-lying area right now. So that is it, just briefly. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, Jim? Jim Millard? Jim Millard, take yourself off mute.
Yes.
Jim, I'm sorry, I didn't... Jim? Jim, can you hear me? There he is. He's there. He has his microphone on. Hey, Jim, can you hear me? No. You're speaking, but I can't hear you.
You gotta turn up his volume, I think.
Jim? What do you want to do here, Sheriff?
Go to the next person, and then we'll circle back. Jim, just tell Jim.
Gunnar, Jim, we'll get back to you when we figure this one out. Gunnar Edelstein.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can everybody? Yeah. Okay. I guess 2 questions, Matt. So that little stream running through the middle of the property, I was there today walking around. I didn't really see any running. Is there normally running water there? Because there wasn't today, but I could see the property looked pretty wet.
Above the catch basin to the north, there's a little intermittent water course that flows down to the catch basin. Is a gravel strip that kind of small little berm that traps the water so it gets it into the catch basin. But below that, to the south of that catch basin, all that is piped. so you wouldn't see any open water. Now, maybe just a little bit of surface water. And so again, we're restoring that area by removing the existing pipe. It's about 200 feet in length from where Doug is pointing to now. Remove that pipe from there, and it will go kind of around the toe of the slope and right about where Doug is pointing out there. The southern property line would be where the end of the restoration area is. So right now, again, it's being piped underground.
Oh, okay. All right. The other question, will there be a basement, or is this going to be just like a crawl space for the new house?
It's a full basement. So basically, we're going to start at the existing grade and go up.
Okay. Is there water in the basement now, or do you expect water and or sump pumps with the new construction?
We are proposing a sump pump. The pump is located outside the house, right here where I'm pointing. And that's going to be pumped across the wetlands within the same trench as the force main for the septic tank and discharged up to a detention area in the northwestern portion of the property where I'm pointing right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Gunnar. Susan McKenzie?
Hi, Doug. I'm just wondering how much clearing you're going to need to do for those galleries.
The galleries themselves, there is 2 trees within the septic area, 15 inches at DBH, are removed. I think one is right here and one is right here. And I put the detention area here and an area outside of any tree removal.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Kelly?
I guess my question is on the back terrace, which comes and abuts right up to the wetland line. I don't have, or at least I didn't notice the comparison of existing to proposed. Are we now getting closer, or is it the same as the current structure?
I'll go back to the survey map. I don't know if you have the plan, but the wetlands line starts right here, follows along the existing patio, and then comes out right at the corner of the house here. Basically, we're not getting any closer than what it is right now. That's out there.
Great. That's it for me.
Okay, obviously when we get together for the public hearing, hopefully we'll see it bigger than I see it here now. Bill Wright, you're on. Mr. Wright.
You're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that. Yes, my questions were answered by the others. Sorry. There we go. You heard me?
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
I think you said his questions were answered.
Oh, your questions were answered? Okay.
Yeah, they were answered by the others.
Okay, good. I'll chime in here. Some of the stuff I'm going to want to look at, Doug, is the water tables. I'm concerned about the sump pumps, and what I would like to do is to understand the level of the basement when it comes and related to the water table, so that is this going to be a sump pump that runs that, where the bottom of the basement is, 2 or 3 feet below the level of the water table, in which case the sump pump's going to be running 24/7. Okay, that would be one of my questions that we're going to do. And there's a bunch of maintenance that's suggested during here, and we may want to make that part of the land record, Rich, at some point.
We always do.
Okay, but that would be made part of that. So I noticed that the homeowner's on, so that'll be part of it, and that becomes, that's a legal requirement at that point in time. So I'll be looking forward to your responses at that point.
Okay.
Is there any other member of the EPC that would like to say something?
Is Jim on now? I'm not sure.
Hey, Jim?
I have a question. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you. Jim Millard. Are you able to hear me, Eric?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very good. Thank you. My only question was, and I'm reminded, I think we faced a similar condition on Valley Forge on the development of one of those homes, the second of those homes on Valley Forge off of Half Mile. And for me, it's that force main, and I just need Rich's help, perhaps, or yours, Eric, to remind me, is this a methodology that EPC is comfortable with coming through that wetland to get the septic to the fields in the back on the west side?
You have approved it before. Valley Forge was one.
Sure.
Been in the past, not recently.
87 Delafield.
Yes.
Was one that actually pumped it over, or
Right.
it was part of the road at that point. But yes, yeah. We
now-
do it? Do we like it? No, but it has been.
Well, Valley Forge was a much more sensitive area.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was my question.
Okay. Is there anybody else from EPC that would like to say something? Please speak. Okay. Rich, and we need a motion for public hearing, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I would like a motion to move this to a public hearing in our next meeting on June 3. Jim, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay. Second, Gunnar?
I'll second it.
Okay, I guess we'll go ahead. This is, normally I look around and just say, okay, all in favor. I'll put myself, I'm in favor. Jim?
I'm in favor.
Okay, Gunnar? Okay. Susan? Okay,
I'm
good.
favor.
Okay, Kelly? Okay, she's got the thumbs up.
Yeah.
William? Okay, he's got the thumbs up, so it's unanimous.
I think you can ask for unanimous consent unless someone doesn't.
Okay, fine, I will do that.
Possibly.
Okay, I will do that next time. Okay, moving on to the next item, EPC 8/2020, Michael Brennan, 22 Seagate Road, proposing new replacement house construction in upland review area. The site is shown on Assessor's Map number 53 as lot number 45. Again, this is a new replacement house construction, and
Normally
we would go to public hearing.
Well, normally when P&Z is required to have a public hearing, you have waived the hearing on some of these properties.
Okay, what should we do here? Should we have the full formal presentation then now,
Well,
or
I
should
think
we?
you should do the same, answer any questions.
Okay.
If Doug wants to, describe it briefly.
Okay, then Doug, I'll turn it over to you so you can go through it, and then after your presentation, we'll decide. We'll decide with the EPC whether we choose to go to public hearing or leave the public hearing for P&Z.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This property is 0.33 acres, around 14,694 square feet. A single-family dwelling at the south end of the. Hang on. There we go. Can everyone see the drawing? Okay, so it is an existing residence on the property. Got Holly Pond to the south. So we're right on Holly Pond. Let me go to so this is the existing conditions map prepared by William Seymour's office. It's located in the 1/2 acre zone. There's an existing pool, an existing house, and the driveway comes off of Seagate right here. What we're proposing to do is raise that existing house and construct a new house in the general location as the existing. The existing pool will stay. The terracing that's along Holly Pond timbers will stay. There's an existing retaining wall, timber wall that goes around the pool right in here. That will be removed and replaced with a masonry wall. There's an existing little patio here that will be increased to what we're showing right here around the pool itself. The house is on sewer and is on water, so there's no septics involved in this. This red line is the 100-foot upland review area and CAM area from Holly Pond. So you see the whole property is within the jurisdiction of EPC and planning and zoning relative to CAM. In terms of drainage patterns, the flow is basically from Seagate in a southerly direction towards Holly Pond. When we're done with the project, the flow pattern will stay the same. Being right next to Holly Pond, all we're looking at in terms of water quality volume, not detention. We're proposing 3 different areas for to collect runoff from the impervious surfaces and handle the first inch of runoff. That will be from a high point on the driveway here to a catch basin, the small detention area here to collect the 1 inch of runoff from the high point down, and part of the roof area will go to a second detention area on the south and east portion of the property, and the third one, which will collect the remaining part of the house and part of the terracing into a detention area here again, first inch of runoff. And that's really basics of the application here. And anything else? We have to go to a public hearing on this for planning and zoning because it's a coastal area and it's also flood damage prevention. So planning and zoning will have a public hearing for this application again for CAM and for flood damage prevention and grading and filling. So there will be opportunities for the neighbors to voice their opinions for or against the application. That's really the project in a nutshell. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, Jim Millard, would you have questions or comments?
I don't, knowing that, Eric, knowing that, as Doug just mentioned, it would go to a public hearing at P&Z, I'm most comfortable with everything I've heard.
Okay. Gunnar?
Will the new be further away from the from Holly Pond, or the same, or closer? Or that's one question.
The house will be basically the same location, so it's not getting any closer. The pool is existing, so that's staying the same. Again, this wall that I'm pointing to right now is the outline really of the existing timber wall that's there right now. So we're not getting any closer than what we are currently are right now.
And the other question, impervious surface staying the same, increasing, or decreasing, or do you know?
It's increasing. But again, we're handling the runoff through the first inch of runoff through the 3 detention areas that I mentioned.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay, Susan?
Hey Doug, are there any wetlands on this property? Is it just we're saying this because it's coastal?
The only wetlands really would be on the south side of this retaining wall, this timber wall here, which is right against Holly Pond. That would be the only wetlands that would be on this property. No inland, no inland wetlands other than that.
Right. And are they planning to do any planting with the construction?
There will be a planting bed, this light green area right in here, and then there's already there's a double timber wall right here, which has already been planted, up already. So it's got some plants in there, and this area right now is lawn area, and it'll be continued to be lawn area, as it is right now.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly?
Gunnar asked my questions, the benefit of going late, so I'm good.
Okay. Bill?
I'm okay.
Okay. Basically, because you're near what is essentially almost an infinite sink in Holly Pond, I guess, the water has to be treated, right, Rich?
Well, typically, these are improvements. When these new homes now have treatment where you have existing homes,
They just run the water right in. Yeah. No, that's right. And so there's not much of a change to this. I'm pretty well good with this, Rich. What's the feeling of the commission? Should we go to public hearing, or should we just approve it from,
I would write it up.
Write it up for Rich. Jim? Jim Malone?
I'm comfortable with Rich. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm comfortable with Rich writing this up.
Okay.
As I said, Eric, because I'm pretty sure I heard that at the P&Z level, it will come before a public hearing.
Yeah. Let me put it in the negative sense then. Is there anybody who would like to take this to public hearing? Okay. Rich?
Yeah.
Okay, you got that. Okay, next item of business is EPC 10-2020. Robert and Jody Stocker Kennedy, 12 Nolan Lane, proposing regrading and drainage improvements in a regulated area and upland review area. The site is shown on Assessor's map number 8 and lot number 41. I believe, Wayne? Wayne
DeVonso?
Wayne DeVonso, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I am. Right here.
Okay, this probably should go to public hearing then, Rich?
Yeah, if Wayne just wants to explain a little bit what's going on, or what.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, why don't you just give us, a quick one, some quick things, and if any members of the EPC have comments or questions, then we'll give them to you, and we'll take a vote to go to public hearing.
Very good. Yes, the proposal is to replace a drainage pipe that runs through the property that collects a majority of the road of the subdivision. It's in very bad shape. It's disjointed. It's causing erosion. It's leaking. It's not only at the outflow, but probably the last section. The joint there's a gap, and it's leaking from there as well. So that pipe needs to be repaired. It exits right into the wetlands. So that is where the outflow is. We're proposing a plunge pool and repairing the pipe, and a plunge pool and regrading and to try to improve the erosion problem that they're having there. They're also removing 5 hemlocks, 2 of which I believe are in the upland review area. And coincident with it, they have a very soggy backyard in the northwest corner, basically. That's being caused mostly by the roof leaders just exiting, dumping onto the lawn, sort of as a separate project. It's all out of the upland review area, but we are going to collect the runoff from that part of the roof and put it into a retention chamber, sort of in the left front area. And that's a pretty basic summary of it.
Okay. Jim Lord, do you have any questions or comments?
My question really was based off of Rich's kind of the notes that he always prepares for us as a supplement to the agenda. And Rich, I think you're right. I'm not quite sure what the purpose is.
Right. Well, I think Wayne just described it. I hadn't heard before. I mean, I would like Darren to look at it. He's looking at it for P&Z also, and that's the only question I had. I wasn't sure if there were, because there's work actually in the wetlands. Typically, you do have a hearing so that there's a public record of why you might approve something.
Yep.
And I guess I'll bring it up now. One other question I had for Wayne: is there any planting prepared or proposed, or would they be willing to do some planting around that plunge pool? Natural plantings.
Yes, we will be submitting a landscape plan.
Okay, then I'm good.
I think Alexandra Mock is on the line. I don't know if she wants to speak to that, but yeah.
Oh, okay, terrific. Well, Alex, if she's preparing something, we'll have it before the hearing, I guess. That would be
yes.
excellent.
We will prepare it. Alexandra Mark. Yes, I think this area in the back needs some reinforcement with vegetation because there's a lot of the areas where the soil's exposed. Actually, I would call this more sediment. There's a lot of erosion going on, and it's very unstable. So the proposed improvements actually will improve the wetland quality, and also because the wetland is mainly on the adjacent properties, the runoff of the stormwater which goes there, this will also improve the situation and storm quality getting into the larger wetland area in the back.
Thank you.
Okay, Gunnar? You all set?
Yeah, well, I just have one question. What is a plunge pool?
It is a depression area. Basically, it's meant to get some sediment out of the outflow and give it an opportunity to settle and stabilize the outflow and not cause so much erosion. Yeah, it's a deeper section of a stream, but in this case, it's just
I don't know what that. Okay. And no new hemlock on the. They're just going to take out 5 hemlocks, but are they planning to replace any or any new trees in there?
Well, once we get the new landscape plan, I guess we would know the answer to that. As of this minute, I'd say no, but I'm sure the landscape plan will include new plantings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Susan?
No immediate question. I'm looking forward to seeing the landscape plan when it's available.
Good. Kelly?
I'm curious if the plunge pool is going to need any kind of maintenance or dredging from time to time. I'm not sure how it's being constructed.
Yeah, I suppose over a fairly long period of time, it might need to have silt removed from it. It should, it's going to be deep enough and large enough that, given the outflow to it, it should not need a lot of attention. But in the longer term, it probably needs to be looked at. Yeah.
Okay, then Wayne, listen, I agree with Kelly. If you could come up with just something that could give us an indication what is an appropriate maintenance period here, and I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay, Kelly, anything else? Okay. Bill?
Yeah, what's our feeling about having propane tanks in the wetland area?
Typically,
Is that something we allow in the past?
No.
It seems like something that doesn't really quite fit in the wetlands, but they're
in the
located.
wetland or upland area. I don't.
And no, in the wetlands, it's not appropriate because wetland floods, okay, by definition. Okay, by the wetland would flood, and so by definition, that's not a good thing to happen to propane tank. In the upland revere area, yeah, we have, depending on where they are, but typically we would, approve that on a generator and things like that, a generator or a propane tank. Yes, but
I
not
think
in the wetland.
That's located in the wetlands if I'm looking at the chart, or is that in the review area?
Wayne?
I believe it's, I think it is in the wetlands. They are existing propane tanks. I believe the owner is open to relocating them if necessary.
Typically, if they're existing, we don't require it unless there was some indication that they're.
Well, did they have approval to put them in there in the first place?
Oh, I doubt it, but they may predate wetlands. I don't know.
A propane tank?
Well, I don't know. They may have been installed before the wetland was mapped. I'd have to look into that.
All right.
That's something we can talk about that one.
Okay, if you could put a follow up for that, Rich, for yourself. All right. Typically,
I do know that the current owners did not install it.
Right.
Then also the area sloping gently. The tank area is not really prone to flooding. It's kind of sloping area. It is a wetland, but it's not a standing water wetland.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to look and see when the house was built and things like that, Rich.
Yeah.
And then because it was built after 75, 76, then we can find that out. That's a good one for planning and zoning. Then. Okay, so for our
Eric, could I jump in?
Please.
I think Bill brings up a good point. I had overlooked it, and I think if we're being presented with an opportunity to correct a condition that in the future could be a challenge in a flooding environment, I think Wayne has suggested, hey, you know what? It may not be moving a full mountain to try and relocate them so that they are properly approved and in the upland review if that's approvable, but they're out of the wetlands. I think Bill raises something I think we have a chance to address properly as a commission.
I agree. I agree, and I think that we may want to take this opportunity to if it is in fact in the wetland, than to move it out, okay, because that would, I personally believe it's not appropriate for a wetland activity. So, we'll have to keep that,
Yeah.
we need to do a little bit more homework on that, find out when it was built, stuff like that, and then we can, and we can put down that as a condition, should we choose, after the public hearing, to make that a condition that they move the propane tanks out of the wetlands. Okay, if they are in the wetlands and they appear to be, then we'll just request that they move them out. Okay, and I think that would be satisfactory then, right, Bill? Sorry? Okay, okay, so now I need a motion to move EPC 1020, 102020 rather.
I'm happy to make that.
Okay.
Happy to make that motion, Eric.
Okay, thank you. Second, going on? Okay, thanks, we've got a press out. I'll assume a unanimous vote unless somebody wants to vote negative. Okay, we're all set. Okay, moving on to the next.
We're good here.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Moving on to the next item of business,
Thank you.
CPC 12-2020.
Thank you.
Christopher B. and Letitia M. I hope I'm pronouncing this right, M.A. 13 Sunswick Road, proposing filling and wetland creation. The site is shown on Assessor's Map number 62 as lot number 33. Okay, everybody hears, who is the representative for the MAs?
This is Bill Kenny. I'm here representing the property owner.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks. So to be able to, how do I share my screen with you folks?
Fred,
Bill, let me give you access here.
Thank you.
I think Fred was going to have.
Fred's got it?
I hope so.
Yes, to share screen share.
Thank you.
There we
So
go.
I am Bill Kenny. I was hired by the property owner to help with this. You maybe remember this property. I believe you reviewed it, or I know you reviewed it about a year ago for a new home.
Mm-hmm.
We were not involved at that point. Other than we mapped the wetlands in 2018. I'm a soil scientist, wetland scientist, and landscape architect, and we did do the wetland mapping here. And on the left, you could see the drawing that was prepared by Kusutis Engineering, and area of concern is an isolated wetland in the rear of the property. And we're here today to ask for permission to reconfigure that wetland and relocate it slightly to help improve the conditions of the wetland and the overall property. So I'll go through some existing conditions. So you have the property is about just under 7/10 of an acre in size. You have Sunswick Road here to the north, and get some photos. In the backyard, this is a view looking from the house, is a depression in the lawn that had been present for the previous house and now for this house. And that depression, it's about 1,200 square feet, about 35 by 35, does have wetland soils, but it's been maintained as lawn for decades. Due to that, it's very low functioning, and in some ways it's worse than by being a lawn. It's a pollutant source potentially, rather than being a wetland area that's cleaning and filtering water and improving conditions. And it certainly doesn't have any particular habitat value, particularly once the construction is finished here. And this is a view. That first view was a view from the house, looking at the property line. This view is from the property line, looking back at the house. This is a view, if you look to the drawing on the right, this is a drawing that we prepared for the submission. It's a partial plan of the property, but you can see the back of the house, the proposed pool and driveway. This gray area is the wetland that was mapped. And what we're proposing is to, rather than having the wetland in the middle of the lawn, in the middle of the ornamental landscape, separate the wetland or natural area from the ornamental landscape by recreating the wetland along the back property line. And that would be in this area right here. So in this area where there's some soil mounded, where there's some pachysandra, a few small trees, Japanese stewardia, so it's that's similar to like a kusa dogwood. It's a native tree. There's a Norway maple here in this photo, and then a small white pine. So we take this area and create this wetland that is shown. There's another view. Yeah, something interesting about this property. It was either low and wet or sloping. This area is all sloping, and the septic system is here on the slope. You can see the contours on the drawing on the right more. Then this area to the left is a large rock outcrop. It rises up fairly steeply, and if we go back to the photo, we're standing on top of that hill to look down on the property. So the existing wetland is quite visible, and then the new wetland would be right here. And so we have a section that we prepared here. The section line is here. And you could see the dotted line in this section is the existing grade. So that's the depression that the existing wetland sits in. And we would propose to bring in some fill, some really well-drained material, clean material, create a low wall here, and then low area. And we would continue to pitch stormwater from the house and from the yard, and then with the very well-draining material, much of it will infiltrate into the soil here and be treated there. But then whatever doesn't would make its way over to the wetland. And in the wetland, we're proposing native ground covers, shrubs, and trees. We have a plant list up to the side here. I don't know if you can see that. And that's pretty much a summary of the proposal. Please answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, Jim Lar.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Bill. I have the plan that Rich distributed, and it's very, very clear on there. What I don't see, my first question is, and you've labeled it degraded lawn wetland to be eliminated as 1,200 square feet and change.
Yes.
How much is your new enhanced relocated wetland in square footage?
Right. So existing is 1,250. The proposed is 1,300. So just slightly larger.
It's an even swap.
Yes.
And at first I heard you comment a boulder or a rock outcropping. Is that on this plan? I see all the elevations and the topography, but I don't see an outcropping of rock on this drawing.
Right. I'm not sure how significant. In this photo, you can see I don't know how much is actually exposed. Truthfully, I did not spend a lot of time looking at that. I don't know how much rock is exposed at the surface, but it's certainly a bedrock controlled.
Oh, over in there.
Over here, yeah.
And for the record, I'm not so sure. I was just curious where it was on this map, and I'm not really worried, frankly, about the rock outcropping. Visually, and you showed a picture before from the back of the property, looking back at the home under construction, and I thought, for me, here that picture. I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but from what you're proposing, and the way you've laid it out on this plan, it seems to be a dramatic improvement, not only to that I don't want to be disrespectful, but what almost looks like a mosquito pit, to an improved wetlands that'll function better, consistent with our regulations here in town. It looks like something we should. I for one would be supporting.
Good, thank you, Jim. Gunnar?
Yeah, well, some of my question was just answered, but I guess my question is, it looks like the new proposed wetland on the back, of the very back of the property would almost be higher in elevation than the part that you're getting rid of. And I'm just wondering, how are you going to accomplish that if it's a higher elevation than the existing is going to be removed?
Sure. So it would be just from the allowing the grade to pitch. We do have, if you look at the grades, whoops, didn't mean to do that.
I was down there today and walked around. I could, it would be a big improvement to get rid of that, what's there now, because it doesn't look like it's doing anything, it's helping anything.
So we'd have grades of about 50, we'd have grades of 55 at the back of the patio, and the top of this wall would be 54. So you've got to pitch 1 foot, changing grade of 1 foot across here to allow to carry water to this area.
Not to jump in on. Sorry, Gunnar, I didn't mean to jump in front of you there.
If you have a question, go ahead, Jim.
No, it was just an observation. What Bill just said to your question. It almost looks to me like I did not get out there today, but it does look like the topography that's pretty clear on this plan that Rich circulated for all of us, that it's coming off a modest slope right in the direction of the rear of the property where the wetland is proposed. From both sides, it almost looks like a very shallow valley heading to the, what direction is on there?
To the south, generally to the south, southwest, perhaps southwest.
Yeah. Sorry, Gunnar, I apologize.
Okay, no problem. Little other question: how far away will the existing swimming pool be from the new proposed wetlands?
1 second.
Because I was kind of walking around back there. I was kind of wondering where is the swimming pool going to go?
Right. Pool's going to be, so today it's a little over 15 feet, it's about 17, 18 feet from this corner. This distance right here is 17, 18 feet. And then it's going to be 67 feet. So we're picking up 50 feet.
Okay. Sounds like that's an improvement. Okay, I don't have any other.
Okay, thank you, Gunnar. Susan?
Hey there. How might this newly created wetland that's right on the property line impact the neighbor?
So the neighbor, the grade, I don't think there'll be, you can see there's, the grade rises up quite a bit just beyond the property. Property line is, there's a fence post. This large tree is just over the property line. So there's about 3 to 5 feet, and then there's a retaining wall, and then their driveway. There's a driveway here that goes to a house off to the left here. So I don't see any impact to the neighbor. They already have development in that area, and they have a great demarcation feature, and so it's good separation there.
Okay. And then for the public hearing, I would just like to learn more about the monitoring plan to make sure that the new wetland perseveres.
Okay.
So, as long as that's written into the plan. That's it for me.
Okay.
Regarding the public hearing, it was just my suggestion It's not required if the members don't think it's necessary. Sometimes I like to have a record of why you approved filling a wetland and creating a new wetland, but it's not required.
Okay, Kelly? Any questions or comments?
So, yes, I do, actually. So, given how much water is pooled there, which I presume is largely from rain that we've had lately, pooling in the depression, I'm a little concerned how that runoff is going to get down into the wetland, if it is, if there's a giant 2-foot boulder wall separating the lawn from the proposed wetland, or is this just an unusual occurrence because we've had a lot of rain?
So that we could add some additional information to this to make sure that happens. Uh-oh, my computer is freezing here. Here we go. The wall will be, it's only, how tall is it? I guess it's 2 feet. It'll be dry laid, so no masonry, so it'll allow water to flow through. And this dip in the existing grade that is lower than that area of wetland, what we could do is make sure that the material that's placed here is virtually impermeable. It could be high in clay, and we could compact it so that just like you have a pitch on the surface, carrying surface water, any groundwater moving through here, it'll come down through some more porous material, a sandy loam, say, and then we could have along this contour at a pitch towards the wetland, we could make sure we put in material to get rid of this depression that's below ground and ensure that when the groundwater comes through the soil, it then moves towards the wetland, and we could put if even needed, we could put weep holes in the wall like you would see in a standard retaining wall.
Okay, that's helpful. I just didn't know what the proposed boulder wall was going to look like, but that sounds better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bill?
Yeah, I didn't go out there today, and I must admit, reading the plan, a degraded lawn wetland, I didn't expect to see this kind of water capacity. I was thinking it more like some of the other ones we were looking at prior to this. So this is a lot more water than I expected for a degraded lawn area. Is there some kind of spring that's pushing this up? I mean, we've had rain, but it's not puddling and staying this long in a lot of other locations. So I'm just throwing that out because it seems a lot more water than I would have expected.
So it's the bedrock that's underlying, and that this area has been. You get these low-lying areas and bedrock-controlled areas, pockets that over 10,000 years or whatever. Every time it rains, a little bit of water runs to that area, and it carries fines from the soil of the surrounding areas, and those fines settle out, and they start to build up, and they create that impermeable layer of fine soils on the surface. So it's really this is pretty common to see standing water like this if you go out in the woods. Actually, it's an area where you would have a classic vernal pool in the middle of the woods with a very small watershed area, but just between the bedrock and the fines that accumulate in the bottom.
Okay. I don't think I would call it a degraded lawn though myself, but you guys put on a label you don't want. It doesn't look like a lawn. Now, maybe in the middle of August, maybe you can make a lawn out of it.
Yeah, during construction, it hasn't been maintained, but it certainly, when we flagged the wetlands, it was a maintained lawn area, and
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have any comments at this point. Now the question is, Rich, public hearing.
It's up to the members.
I'd like to get an idea of whether we should go to a public hearing on this, and maybe I'll start with you, Jim.
Eric, I think we should. I say that only because of the series of questions from our fellow commissioners the drainage down the back. Although I know Bill said the topography there changes, so it would be very low impact to that neighbor in the picture that's still illustrated on the left. You know, I don't know Sunswick as well as I know my own backyard, but I appreciate Bill's comment that, you know, you've got a lot of rock through those areas of town, and that could be one of the reasons to Bill's question why it's pooling. I just think you're going to find a neighbor or two who steps up with a question or looking for clarity, and I think it's in my view, I think it's healthy of us to ask that we take that step.
That's a really good point. Gunnar?
Yeah, I would agree. That I agree with Jim's assessment. Probably, I didn't think so, but it probably would be a good idea to let the neighbors weigh in.
Susan?
If I were a neighbor, I would probably want to weigh in, so we probably should go to a public hearing.
All right, that makes with me that makes 4. So Kelly, I'll assume then, Jim, may I have a motion to take this to public hearing?
Yes, I just had to turn my microphone back on. I'm happy to propose that we move 13 Sunswick to a public hearing for us.
Okay, thank you. Gunnar, second?
I'll second that. I'll second it.
Okay, I'll assume a unanimous vote unless somebody speaks up. Okay, it's unanimous. We'll take that to public hearing. Thank you, Bill. Okay, agent approvals. No action necessary unless the commission receives an appeal of the approval within 15 days of the publication date per section 12.2 of the Inland Wetlands and Water Course Regulations. First item is EPC 09-2020, Christopher and Lauren Casasa, 17 Brush Isle Road, proposing artificial play area and patio in an upland review area. The site is shown on Assessor's Map number 59 as lot number 19. Has all the commissioners had a chance to review this? Yes? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions for Rich? No?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Just curious about, I saw the proposal for the artificial turf area, which looks like it's actually not totally artificial. It sounds like a good idea. I don't know if anybody's seen it anyplace else in the town. The positive, I would think, is there's one less area that needs to be fertilized that'll end up in Holly Pond.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's got any other negatives by using that and whether we have control over that as well.
Well, I hadn't thought about it being a positive. I thought of really not having a significant impact was my statement, or not having less than a minimal impact on Holly Pond. But now that you mention it, that could be true. Less area where there's fertilizer, sure.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Okay. Moving on. EPC 11-2020, Michael and Eric Broik, 20 Goodwives River Road, proposing terrace and spa construction in an upland review area. The site is shown on Assessor's Map number 63 as lot number 106A.
Eric, just for clarity and for the notes, it's 40 Goodwives River Road according to Richard's agenda. I believe you said number 20.
I apologize. Number 40 Goodwives River Road. Thank you for correcting me. Anybody have any questions or comments for Rich?
I got another comment. I don't want to be a pain here. It looks fine. I walked back there, and it's a very small operation. And I just wondered, they used the word pool there, and it's not the swimming pool you and all are thinking about. It's basically a small containment area that was probably built many, many, many years ago. And does that give them the ability, because they put the word pool on it, to put a real pool we're all used to today, because they could say it's in kind or it's already been there before, because they're not the same by any means in this location.
Same general size. I understand what you're saying. again, I look at whether it's going to have an impact on the wetland, and that was, my impression.
Yeah, and you're right. It doesn't have an impact. I'm just, again, one of these things I'm trying to learn about.
Yeah.
People use that as just to make it easy, say, well, I'm just replacing what was there, but they're not the same. Okay, no problem.
Now, from a structural standpoint, I guess you could, from a use standpoint, you're absolutely right. From a structural standpoint, I guess it's the same.
Okay, no problem. It is a small impact, I agree.
Okay. Moving to other business, we have the minutes of March 4, 2020. I guess everybody has those, so.
I have Jim's comments.
And Jim Millard in his meticulous fashion sent out comments there.
I did to Rich earlier today, and there were hardly any.
Good. Did anybody else have anything? Kelly and Susan are usually the ones with the sharp pencils.
I have no doubt that Jim caught anything
I don't know. You caught him a couple of times, Kelly, in the past. Susan, do you have anything to? You're okay. Good. Okay. With that, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 4? Jim?
I move that we approve the minutes of the March 4th meeting of this year.
Okay, Gunnar, second?
All right, I'll second that.
Okay, why don't you just give me a thumbs up if you're okay with that? Thank you. I have to abstain, I was absent.
Okay.
And so it'll be that. Okay, so now I need a motion to adjourn. I want to thank, by the way, before we adjourn, I want to thank everybody for putting up with this new format, and I think we've learned a lot. And Fred, thank you. We finally got you online after a couple of minutes there. But thank everybody for this, and I hope to see you guys around town and before June 3. So with that, motion to adjourn, Jim.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting of the EPC. Fred, thank you for putting it together, and I think it worked pretty well. My non-technical self.
Okay. Gunnar, second?
I would second this historical meeting should go down in history.
All right. Okay. I will assume it's unanimous. It's unanimous. So, and I thank everybody, and everybody please stay